this works because I have no idea. So recording has started. So now I'm going to let everyone in and just tell them that it says need to check how to join. How? Come on, come on.
From the LinkedIn, you could
Yeah,
join in easily. LinkedIn.
yeah. Okay, so I guess that yeah, I have 4 screens now, so that's too many screens.
Oh,
Yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
oh, good, good.
Helge, let's allow Helge to join, and then I'm going to make Helge a presenter. Make a presenter. Change. Hey, Helge.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. So
Wow, you
Hi,
have a
Helge.
statement sweater on tonight, like a zebra look.
exactly. So I'm looking relaxed. This is our first podcast. So
Yeah.
Podcast?
just remember, all of this is going to be recorded. So we have 4 people in the waiting room. So
Mm.
yeah, I will let them in and then let them know that we are just going to be waiting a couple of minutes for the start, right?
Why don't you call it a podcast?
Ah, I still wanted to make it look formal, but to me, this is more
Mm.
like a podcast format.
Yeah, maybe next time we do something like this, we can be
Okay.
in the same place, like an
All right.
actual podcast.
So, hello, everyone. We are
Hello.
still 4 minutes to begin, so we'll just allow people to come in. And then I guess once more people join at 6 o'clock, we'll start. So, yeah. In the meantime, this event is going to be recorded. Hopefully, you are all okay with that. If not, please just let us know. I think the Q&A are enabled, so probably all of you should be able to post questions and answers. And as my face is not that pretty, I'm going to put the presentation in the background so it looks better. Mm. Mhm. Mhm. All right, so nice. Now I think that, so I see some familiar names. Hi, Tom. All right, so only a couple minutes to go. Thanks everyone for joining. We're just waiting for another couple minutes, and then we'll begin with the brief talk, or as we like to call it, small podcast, or whatever this is it. And just for so you know, this is new for me managing these teams from the DAX section, and honestly, I'm not so confident if yeah, I don't know if anyone can write or something. I hope everyone is okay. Oh, we have the section from Finland, so that's very nice. All right. So I guess that it's 1 minute to 6. So more people joining. Oh, I was too early to start. So all right. So we have more people joining. So this is actually fun. So thanks everyone for joining today. Today we're basically going to be hosting a small conversation or presentation about how to become certified as a CEP. We had a very fancy name, which is called Mastering the Path to the Certification. I don't know if we will show you how to master it, but at least you are going to come out with some funny stories from this chat. I'm a frustrated podcaster, so I have never done one. So this is my first chance to try to do one. And I have Helge and Adi here also joining me. So basically, again, the topic of today is what was the process for the certification, some ideas and examples of what Helge and Adi just recently had. I will briefly introduce you to both of them and talk a little about what is the certification for. I guess most of you know what it is, but for those of you who are not aware about how the certification works, we'll give some information, and hopefully you will be able to, if not get answer to all your questions, but perhaps you're going to be able to have someone to reach out in case you have a question. So I will start first with a brief presentation, and I'll let you, Helge, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello from my side. I'm happy to be here and also happy to share a little bit about what I learned in the last pass and about the experience of the certification process. So my background is in industrial engineering. I come from Germany. I studied in Germany, focused on energy and resource management later. Then I worked for an EPC contractor for some time. There I dived into cost estimation. Then I worked mainly in the chemical industry. Now on the owner side, first in the cost estimation role, and later now more in the data analytics role, basically leveraging the data from portfolio, but also from projects. Something you don't know about me, I have a love for espresso. So during COVID, I bought a nice espresso machine. So that's my plan B, practicing and mastering the art of the perfect espresso. And I also wrote a AACE paper on benchmarking some time ago together with Louis. So hello everyone, nice to be here.
Cool. So thanks a lot, Helge. And now we will leave Adi to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aditya. I did my mechanical engineering and also did my master's in international business management. I am also doing cost estimation in since several years. I did some life cycle costing and various projects for energy and chemicals. And I am also uh, something you don't know about me. I am also started doing yoga nowadays, and also I am developing one AI tool for cost estimation, just as a part-time hobby.
Cool. Thanks, Adi. And finally, myself, Luis Garcia. I'm also been doing cost estimation and cost controls for several years. I had the opportunity to work with Helge and Adi together, and also the opportunity of working with Helge in a nice paper for AACE about benchmarking. We've been presenting this paper in different forums, so we had the opportunity to present it in San Antonio in the AACE conference, and also in a presentation for the Saudi Arabia section and different forums. So it's actually very cool. I really enjoy working with Helge and benchmarking, and also working with Daddy doing cost estimates. And I love ramen, so that's basically just some fun fact about me. Maybe it's not so funny for you, but for me it was interesting. Cool. Briefly talking about AACE, probably most of you are aware of who is AACE, what the memberships are, and whatnot. But just a brief recap, just to make sure we're on the same page. AACE was founded in 1956, so it's a very, I will not like to say old, but it's a very robust and mature organization. It's hosted currently in West Virginia. They host every year very nice forums, international forums. There is going to be the London Forum, I think, in the 17th of March. There was a forum in Peru just a couple of weeks ago, or just 1 week ago. So it's a very active association, so you can engage with members and learn from them, and there is all the communities. And part of the benefits of being a member of the association is that you can improve your skills and actually learn and get resources and get mentoring. So some of the events like this one are free, and there were some other events where you can learn about artificial intelligence or cost controls, planning and scheduling, risk management. And one of the interesting facts about AACE is that in average, members from AACE earn more than non-members. And I think that that's clear because basically being a member means you are part of the larger community and have access to different roles, and you have a more high perceived value because you are part of a professional community, which we're lucky to have because some of them are not as professional as AACE. Certifications, there are multiple certifications starting from the technical ones, which are the Certified Cost Technician, Certified Scheduling Technician, and the one we're going to be talking about today, the CEP, Certified Estimating Professional, and they go all the way to the expertise level. So these are more entry-level kind of certifications. Then you have the professional level, who are for professionals working in the industry in this kind of roles. And basically you have the expertise level, which is for people who has been doing these kind of roles for a very long time. And they're very specific, so they're also interesting. The certification program was launched in 1976, and the idea was to recognize skilled professionals in the cost engineering industry. And that means that if you are certified with any of these ones, at least you can show that you had to go through the test. So for the focus of today, we're going to be talking about how to become a certified estimating professional. And for that, I'm going to now just close the slides and go back to the regular session, and then we're going to have a brief talk about some talking points. And at the end, if you have any questions, we'll have some time for questions and answers. You can type your questions at any point in the chat. I hope that the chat is working. If not, please let me know, because again, this is my first time running this kind of forum. So now, something about Helge and Adi. They just recently had your certification. So Adi, when did you got your certification, and also Helge?
Yeah, it was end of December.
And you, Helge?
It was December 2024.
Basically, I made the test beginning of December, and then they always have a cutoff date, so mid of the month they start then reviewing all the exams that was done, and then I got the grade, I think beginning of January. Yeah.
So this is the first question. I'll start with you, Helge. So why did you want to get a CEP certification? What was the motivation?
So I think if you are in cost estimation, so if you want to go down the path of an expert level or expert level path, it's a very good opportunity to, on one hand, dive into the topic, so learn more about estimation, revisit some basics, but also probably learn about some topics you haven't touched too much before. And I think it's a good combination to do this by also being or getting a certificate in the end, because they offer you a good framework on what you should check out and what you shouldn't check out in the detail, basically.
Cool. And Adi, what was the reason why you wanted to get a certification?
Yeah, similar like Helge, but I would like to add that this also gives us recognition in the community, and we get good benefits out of it. We could also share our knowledge. So this is quite good a certification to have.
Cool. So again, for understanding, so what do you see is the biggest benefit that you expect to have with the certification in your career? Why are you interested? I mean, what is the purpose? Is that for changing career? Is extending your skills? Is it becoming more professional? Is it becoming part of AACE? I don't know.
Yeah, so this actually gives us a good framework when we have all the things already chalked out in such a way that we could study structurally what is the cost estimating and try to uh, do the questions and then understand all the facets which might not be all we are using in our day-to-day cost estimating activities. So it gives us a good refresher, and also I think this is going towards even for an expert level jobs, or maybe if somebody like a project manager would like to dive in this subject and try to do something himself for smaller projects or something. So this is could be a very good uh, knowledge which one can have. And for me, it was a multifold that I could be an expert and I could also be in some leadership role wherein I could be coaching and discussing and maybe uh, leading a team of cost estimators. So multifold, it could be both ways useful, I would say.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So it gives you the recognition in the industry. So it labels you that you have knowledge, but it also actually provides you the knowledge by I call that a framework, or like giving you like a guided program of topics you have to go through, you have to build on, and basically it also gives you the knowledge to get the label in the end. So that makes sense.
Cool. So now talking a little bit more about what is the process. So um, how did you start with this? So where did you find information? What things did you have to do to actually get the guides? Did you have any guides? So can you take me a little bit through how did you started all the process?
So I think the key thing is the study guide. So I think everyone knows the study guides tab, where you go through and small chapter on some topics and then some multiple choice questions or some calculation in the back. So I use that as the main source. But I started also already some time ago working on this stuff. Basically, I think during COVID I started to prepare myself on this one, but then I did not make the certificate. I did it a little bit later, but I think that's the go-to information. And then there are some other nice books also from the AACE. I think it's the cost engineering book, which is also quite good. So I use this one for cross-checking some of the things, basically.
Well,
Yeah.
so basically,
Yeah.
yep, sorry, Eddie.
Yeah. So this certification guide on this topic. Yeah. So this is a quite good knowledge where we can have many things already compiled which are quite good for us. For me it was a little different. I was not very I would say very disciplined in studying small chunks. I actually did it in 2 weeks time that I took from my family time and personal time, and I devoted this only for the exam for just 2 weeks, and then every day 3 hours or something I took for studying for this particular exam. And this is the main guide which I was referring to. And apart from this, I think the main resource which I think was very much useful was discussion with our peer cost estimators. So whenever I would like to discuss some things with and I actually benefited with our meetings and discussions with Louis and Helge together. We were discussing about this cost estimating topics, which were quite useful. And I think I would also like to recommend that if somebody is trying to study for this, have a peer group as well, also together with the study material, so that it keeps you motivated and you could discuss your things and then maybe get some insights. This is also was useful to me.
Cool. Thanks. So, and now another question. So there are some requirements for the certification. Um, can you take us a little bit about the requirements that you had to follow through for the certification?
I have to let
Uh,
Adi explain this one because I can't remember all of them.
Yeah,
I
eligibility
will give you
requirements.
a head. I will
Yeah,
give you some hints there here.
yeah, yeah. So this is AACE is quite good in this that they have provided all the information in a single page. So if you go to this website AACC International and you search for certification and hit the CEP, and you will get this page. And this page first has the eligibility requirements, and these are like 8 years of industry related experience, or if you have a 4 year industry related college degree, for example a bachelor's in mechanical which I had, so I would only needed 4 years of industry experience to actually sit for this examination. So this is the basic requirement, and I think most cost estimators would have this requirement. But if not, then if you are maybe less than 4 years, then you should look for another certification, which is technician certification. But I would highly suggest that if you have 4 years, then this is the certification after your degree. Or if you have 8 years entirely in the cost estimating field, you could prove this by your certificates or experience certificates. Then this is good for as a eligibility requirement for the certification.
Thanks. Now, quick question. Maybe Helga, you remember how did you documented your industry experience and your education experience?
Basically, I gave my job resumes, I think, like a letter of recommendation after the job, and I think I had to send them to them, and they will do like a little check on them, and then it was just confirmed.
Oh, Marco says that the audio is gone. Can everyone else hear us, or is only Marco?
Yeah, I can hear Helge.
Yeah, I
And
can
you
hear
as well.
Helge also. Yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe
Audio
it's only
working.
Marco. Oh,
Yeah.
thanks,
Yeah,
Ahmed.
yeah, Ahmed
Oh,
is on good. Yeah.
thanks.
We
So,
have another friend of us in our audience, Ahmed. So, okay.
all right. So I will just let Marco know. Marco apparently is due.
Yeah. On
So,
circling back to the topic, for the uh, for the experience certificates, I also took experience certificates from the jobs which I did. And in the current job, from my manager, we could take a certificate that these are the years. So this is quite handy, and I think would be useful for submitting it to the certification committee. So the process is when we submit these documents and application form to the certification committee, then they approve our eligibility requirements, and then on we could pay for the examination. So this takes us to the second portion, maybe. Do you
And
have
I think I remember it took some time, so it was not just done overnight, but it took some time until it was really confirmed. So
Yeah, so I think they do due diligence, and then they check for what are the eligibility requirements and how we are fulfilling them, and then only they approve this. I think they take around 2 weeks or 3 weeks of time also. Yeah.
yeah. So that's a good point because it takes time. Now, there is another interesting topic about. So I know from experience that some companies will support you to get a certification because that this is actually of value for the company. Did you got any support from your past companies to get the certification? How did you request this support if you got any?
Yeah, I think we have to explain our employers that this certification is actually bringing value to the organization and value to our field. So when you could establish this thing into the employers, then I think employers would happily fund you for this certification. So for me, I was successful in getting the funding from the employer. Yeah.
yeah, I would
Nice.
agree because it's not too pricey for the employer, so it should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, correct. It's only, well, only it's $525 for
Yeah.
members and $690 for
Yeah.
non-members. So,
And the
oh,
value it brings to the individual as well as the employer is, I think, very much, and it is the cost is nothing in terms of the value. Yeah.
nice. So going back to a little bit the question. So this is a certification guide. The guide already includes some sample questions. So Adi, you mentioned that you are a super fast learner, so you don't require that much reading. Helge, how was your process with
Yeah,
this?
I'm not a super fast learner, so I took some more time. So I think I started like 2 months ahead, and then studied like here and there 30 minutes, and then increased my learning when the date uh, came closer, basically in the end. And I used some business trips to study on the plane or in the train, so that was also okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I am also not a super fast learner, but I'll say a different. But the style is that all intensive course kind of thing, so that we go all in with 3-4 hours or more into the system. So that's just way how one studies, right? So
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But the hardest part for me was like going back and be a student again. So
yeah,
seeing having the exam coming closer and then you study on it. And normally nowadays our life is much more busier than the life of a student.
yeah,
So
yeah,
then I think it's critical that you really plan ahead and then just do like 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there.
yeah, yeah. That is
That will
correct. Yeah.
help.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I think it's more individual. But I personally had this forte that every 2 years or 3 years I got to go for some certification or other. So I did one certification for Aspen Tech as well. So another certification for my profession. But yeah, so it is good that so it is more individual how one studies. So you have to, for attendees, it is important that they understand themselves that what is working for
Mm.
them. So if it is working 30 minutes a day, this is fine. But if somebody, if they are more keen on 2 weeks like me, then this is what they do want to do, right? So both is possible.
Nice. Cool. Now, coming back to the recommended study material. So what I show right now was the Certified Estimating Professional Study Guide. This document in here. There is also the Fundamentals of Cost Estimate. This occurs. You have the skills and knowledge. I particularly don't remember reading this. And the
Yeah,
recommended
basically
practices.
I used to cross read a few things in the skills and knowledge book, basically, as well as in some recommended practice. But I think focus on the study guide. If you focus on the exam, I think the study guide is the thing you should
Exactly.
or want to look at, basically.
So
Um,
what I understand is basically this is the Bible that everyone should study. And then if you need
right.
anything, you jump to the other ones.
Good to
Okay.
have, yeah,
Yes.
good to have is skills and knowledge. So
So
that is too
basically,
much comprehensive.
what I did from the study guide is I just like had a mini summary of it, and then I put it on some cards, this mini summary, so I could learn it on the plane. And then I wrote down the multiple choice question from the study guide. I used them or revisit them. You can just revisit in the book. And then there are some calculations in. So I went through the calculations and I noted them down. And that's basically, I think, the way to
Nice.
go.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks.
agree.
Now
Yeah,
coming to the, yep.
skills and knowledge is quite comprehensive. If you see, there are
Yeah.
600, 500 pages to it.
Yep.
And I would also recommend to study the uh, estimating professional study guide, and then only few topics you could cross refer into the skills and knowledge. But
Yes.
if you start with skills and knowledge, it would be, I think, too much to have, and maybe some people lose interest, like me, who would like to go fast. They lose interest quickly. So I would say for me it works this way, but maybe somebody who's wanting to have a more academic and more deep knowledge, I would say skills and knowledge is the first one for them. Yeah.
Nice. So moving a little bit now to the day of the exam, right? So let's talk about first the theory, what is
Yeah.
supposed to happen in the test, and then you will tell me what really happened, right? So AACE says that the exam will take 5 hours as a maximum, that there are 119 simple multiple choice compound questions within 3 domains: basic estimating knowledge, 50 questions, which in theory should be easy for a cost estimator; complex estimating problems, which again should be relatively easy for a cost estimator; and then finally, estimating pros and practices, I think that the background of it is basic estimating knowledge is understanding if you understand the fundamentals and principles. Complex estimating is actually real, more detailed questions. And finally, the process and practices include some questions. There is one domain communication where you have to write a memo, and basically you can use any calculator.
Right.
Now, how was your test? So how did you do your test? Did you did it in person? Did you went to through a online center? How was your experience?
So I did the online
For
test. I'll let Adi go.
okay, yeah.
Helge,
So
then, oh, sorry.
yeah. Maybe Helge, you go first, then I'll speak.
Okay. So basically, I did it online. So I signed up online. There's this Criterion test center, which is quite easy to do. The only thing is they will make like a biometric photo or something, and then on the day of your exam, they will match if you are the person. So that can be some technical problems can be the result of this one. But basically, it was quite easy, and you can do it almost every weekend because it's an individual test you can do online. So that I really like this one.
Nice.
For
And
me, it was again different. I actually booked a test in the exam center, and I went there. There is a center, I think, 15 kilometers from my home. So I went there, and there I appeared for the test. And so test format was actually quite long. So 5 hours is the test format that we have to be there for 5 hours in the same room, and there were cameras around, and there was a few PCs. One PC was allotted to each candidate, and there was camera on the PC as well. And we were given uh, only a pen and a paper, which was already available on the table. But the calculator we have to take our own. So this is also a
Mm.
tip for the attendees that calculator we have to bring, and I would suggest the calculator should have the raised to power function available, and one has to use the calculator as well. So because for me personally, I was not used to do using the calculator. Nowadays we have Excel and online calculators available in the PC. So a mechanical calculator is a little bit old-fashioned, but for examination purposes, I think it was necessary. So one should practice a little bit on this calculator so that you could do this in the exam as well. And also the perseverance, basically the need to sit for 5 hours continuously for doing the things. This also be need to be practiced. So for me personally, uh, I was used to getting up maybe hour or so, but for 5 hours continuously focusing on something, this was was a little bit challenge. So I would suggest that if some attendees are going to go for this examination, to practice this sitting for 5 hours, also practice with calculators.
nice. So, and now coming back to the physical and the one that you went there, Adi. So going to the restroom, was it like, because it's 5 hours, so you actually have to stand up at some point.
Yeah, so no
How
breaks
was the
for
process? Was it like complicated or um,
no, you just call the invigilator who was sitting in the another room, then just you go to the bio break and come back. So, and the person who was watching from the camera, I think they also understand this, and there was no problem in this. The only issue I faced was there was a internet connection lost once, and the exam was stopped, and then for 5 minutes there was nothing, but then again it started, but then it was all fine. So I just lost 3-4 minutes in this connection lost, but they were the timer started from there, so I did not lost it, but just got a break and something like this.
yeah. Oh, we have a question from Prathamesh. I think we touched this briefly before,
Mm.
Prathamesh. The qualification documents, we briefly talked about them. I'm just going to make a quick recap for you. 8 years of industry-related experience. This can be submitted by getting a letter from your employer or past employers giving you how much time have you been working in the company. And the 4 years of industry-related college degree is basically your studies. So it's not so complicated. They may, so in some cases, you get a random audit where they will actually call the person listed into your contact as your manager or whatever, just to make sure that this actually that you were doing what you were doing. But it's not super complicated. There is not really much to submit, so it's only 2 papers, if I'll say. Sorry. Now coming back, Helge, in your case, in the when you had the test in the computer, did you have any kind of technical issues? What was something that was?
Yeah, I had some issues, so you should prepare yourself a little bit. So basically, I just mentioned this with the photo scan. So I logged in, and then there was some mismatch with the photo, so it did not work. So I was kicked out again from the platform. And then the funny thing is, you can't log in anymore if you are late to your exam timing. So I had to raise a ticket basically with them. So I had like a delay of 30 minutes to start the exam. But then actually they processed the ticket quite quickly so that I could really start. I thought already now it's gone, but no, it worked. And then it went quite well. So you have to present your pieces of paper, you have to present your pen, and then they monitor that you stay always with your head in a certain area of your screen, basically, during the 5 hours exam. So at some point, if you drop your head because you're concentrating on something, they will call you out, for example. And then the weird part is because they call you out and then for 5 or 10 minutes, nothing will happen. And then they say, okay, please concentrate, because then they could attend again. So but in the end, it worked quite well. So I could do it home. It was cold outside, so I did not need to leave the house.
Nice. So we have a question from Gaurav, and I think that this brings me to the next topic. So there are some problems in the study guide. I think that this is what basically both of you studied, and also this is what I studied back then.
Yeah.
Will you say that this is sufficient to prepare yourself for the test? Was there anything that you feel on the test that was not shown in the questions in the study guide?
In terms of percentage, I think probably 70 to 80% is based on the study guide. I would assume something like this. There were some questions, especially with tax rate in the US or salaries calculation in the US. I was not able to do this one, but 70 to 80% is based on this, and then it's rephrased a little bit, or it's a little bit different, but it's mainly what is asked in there.
Yeah,
go ahead, Adi.
Yeah, just to add on this, that 70% is the passing score in this examination. And I think the study guide is also designed in such a way that you can get only 70% marks when you only study the study guide. Yeah. So I think it is more than the study guide, definitely. So study guide is not the ultimate that you if you have studied the study guide, 100% question would come from. I think it is like Helge said, it is 70%. But interestingly, 70% is actually the average score which you have to take to clear this examination.
Yeah, but that was not my ballpark. So
yeah.
I think there are 2 topics in here before I move to the next topic about the memo. The first topic is the test is very US related, so that means first you have everything into imperial system. So for those of us that work in metric system, my recommendation will be that make sure your calculator actually can convert measure or units, so you don't have to do it in your head, or if you have to do it, just remember what are the conversions, because otherwise it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, that is correct. I noticed this. Yeah, just to add on this one, that this is very important, that conversions have to be remembered. So if the calculator doesn't have the conversions already built in, then you have to remember small conversions, and in this stressful examination moment, you could do a mistake and then you lose the marks. So this is, I
Yeah.
think, good tip from Luis. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other topic is, as Kelly was saying, the test is very US centric. So sometimes they ask for board and labor, and they ask for the fringe benefits in the US. So there is not a very good reference in the guide. So
Yeah, also the units, Louis. So and
yeah,
cubic yards and all this stuff for feet.
correct.
So I had some courses on oil and gas production at university, so it was also in this metrics. But yeah, you have to US units always.
Yeah, and that I find that is very tricky.
Me
And
too. Yeah.
and now moving a little bit
Right.
I'm moving to the first one, which is easy, and the answer is yes, you have to start to buy the study guide. So that is 50 to 100 euros, $50 for members, $100 for non-members. I think that it's just worth. I mean, if you're already investing this money into the test, probably I will definitely buy it. Um, it doesn't change too much version to version, but they sometimes adjust the test because they make some new questions. Um, Another topic um, you have to remember that this study guide is prepared by cost estimator. It's not done by professional people doing tests. So some of the actual questions and the answers were wrong. So what is like a known fact is that some of the answers are wrong. So if you find that your answer is not shown anywhere into the answers, pick one because most likely it's wrong. um, yeah, that's a good point, Mohammed. Buying the study material, the membership, and then the study guide, and coming back to the memo. Yeah, there is in the CEP study guide. Basically, you have some examples, but during the test, and maybe you can elaborate. How was your memo in the test, Helge?
Yeah, I can remember that they give you a selection, I think like 12 different topics you can select basically. And I select the memo where I have to justify a site visit basically and write an email to the manager to say, okay, a site visit is a good idea to get certain details, etc., from the site and why it's necessary to do this to improve the estimate basically. So quite straightforward, I think.
What about you, Adi?
Yeah, so rightly said that there are 10 to 12. I don't remember the exact number. There were 12 scenarios which were given to us, and where we have to produce. Basically, this is test our communication skills, that how we are communicating our things to the larger group, basically project manager or the management, about our estimate, and to the fellow estimators as well. So these documents which we have to prepare, it should be complete in the nature that who is writing this, for who is reader, and what are the main contents of this document. So uh, for me, I chose a document which is called Basis of Estimate, and the task was to write a basis of estimate for a project, and what in the basis of estimate kind of thing. So I explained in quite detail what is in this document and whom I am contacting, and what I have taken as basis of these things. So this memo is quite, I think, important, and in the exam also, this is one such main domain that one has to pass minimum 70% marks also in this memo.
Yeah, thanks. Now, and I remember when I did my test, I selected this question because I remember this question from the study guide, and I actually just
Mhm.
remember. And you're right. The main purpose of this is checked by a volunteer from the AACE, and actually this is the people that score the test. So a lot of the work
Mm.
behind the curtain is done by volunteers. So they see if they understand what you're trying to communicate. So Yeah, that is the whole purpose of this exercise. It's more about making sure you can be clear about what you require.
There
Cool.
are sample memos also available in the study guide, so one can
Correct.
in the study guide as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Um,
just on the exam, I could add on the complex estimating problems. So there are the three domains. One is basic engineering, and then second is problems. In this complex of estimating problems, which are 24 questions, they are actually set of situations which are given to you. They are combined questions, basically four or five questions uh, from one problem. So they would explain a little bit on the situation and on variation, maybe for example, something is to be escalated from when to when, or from which year to which year, and this connected questions, basically four questions for one set of problem, something like this. So these are called estimating problems. So they are 24 questions, and they are divided into four into four, five or six together questions.
cool.
This is
There is
also
another
quite helpful for somebody who is preparing.
there is another question from Sivarman about when did you have to write the memo? I don't think that I don't remember it was at the beginning. It's somewhere
No,
around the middle.
yeah, so online you can decide. You could
Yeah.
start even with the memo if you want to do it. So online you had like all the questions listed up, and you could click through them, and then you could skip questions. You could go directly to the memo to start with this one. So that's not an issue.
Yeah. I think the exam pattern and what you see on the screen is quite same if you do it at home or uh, and I also choose to do when I want to do the memo. So if I can open and then go to memo starting of the exam, I could do that as well.
But the calculations also are rated quite fairly because they are broken down in a lot of steps. So they ask for a little calculation, and then you get points for the little calculation, and then it adds up. So I think that's quite fair in the test.
Now, was there any particular area
Yeah.
where you felt that it was very difficult and you basically just guessed the answer, or
Yeah, that was the question with the burden rates or with the American
Yeah.
taxes on this one. I could not. I tried some things, but I could not get to the values listed up there. So I tried to re-engineer the values, but that also did not work. So at some point, I just entered something. So that was the one really I remember that was weird. The others were quite
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Yeah. Same for me. I think this question was also I could not do, and there is an option in the exam that you if you have doubt of this some question, then you mark it and then you could review it afterwards. So I marked this question, I came back to it, then did another question, then came back to it, then but twice I think I tried, but I then thought let's not break head on this question because this is quite far from me. So but I would really suggest for the new aspirants who are studying that they study the US burden rates or how the labor market is functioning. So what the actual labor rate and what is on top of what is the adders on the labor. So something which one needs to study. Yeah.
cool. Now, if there was one thing that you will do different if you were to do the test now that you know what you know, what will you change?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, just do it and don't overthink it. I think just sign up for the test and then you can do it. It was not so. I think it's not too a big deal.
Yeah, so just summing up what I said earlier as well, this question actually, so I did not actually sat for 5 hours and I actually suggested to new people now that they should actually do this 5 hours sitting twice or thrice before appearing for the exam with the calculator and the questions from it
Yeah, I think
should
it's
be
hard
very
sitting for
and
for 5 hours, but practicing it, this
yeah.
is also very hard.
Cool. So,
And the
yeah.
second point is regarding the US details, which I mentioned earlier that US burdens. These two I have definitely done if I suppose reappeared. If I was not successful in the examination this time, first time, then I thought in the examination that if I am not successful, these two things I would do again to basically sit for second round. But thankfully, I cleared the first attempt.
Nice. Cool. So now you're certified. Now, uh, you know what you have to do to maintain your certification?
No.
So this is the fun part. Once you're certified, you have to, in order to maintain your certification valid, every 3 years, you have to accumulate 12 CEUs. And this is, I'll say, it's not super complicated because most of the things you will do if you continue working within your own discipline. So you can recertify by an exam, which I personally will not suggest, given that I don't like to be sitting 5 hours, or you can go by CEUs. If you go by CEUs, basically CEUs stands for, I don't remember what it stands for. It's like uh, education units, continuous education units. So there are 4 categories, which is perform, professional development, industry contribution, and volunteer service, right? So perform means continue to work within your discipline, could be cost control, cost estimation, anything related to the cost domain or project controls domain. So this accounts for some CEUs. Professional development, this includes training, education, etc. Industry contribution, this includes activities such as preparing a paper for AACE, participating actively in the communities, participating in the recommended practices and whatnot. And the final category, which is volunteer services, which is what we are doing here. So we do this for the goodwill of our hearts, but also because we like CEUs and we plan for our CEUs because we are part of the project controls community. So you have to plan this in advance. Otherwise, it will be just not funny. Um, there is a catch. So you can apply for your CEUs and you may or may not get an audit, right? So coming here as an example, perform industry-related employment 2 per year, right? So if you continue working as a cost estimator or project controls person, planning and scheduling, you will become 2 per year. That means that you can actually earn 6 CEUs on the 3 years that you are working as continuously. And then you still have 6 to go, right? So um, you can do only 6 maximum on this perform. So if you are an instructor and you are also working on cost control, so cost estimation, you can only earn 6. Professional development, this is also not so easy to get. Section meetings or management societies, professional development or continuing education, that's zero point 0.1 per hour. AACE Online Center, 2 CEUs per year maximum, and get a new certification within AACE. Industry contribution, this one I find that is interesting and you can do. And this encourage people to participate more active in the association. So editing a professional practice guide. So this is something you can do. Professional practice guides are available within the site. Recommended practices, you can get up to 4 CEUs for being active into updating the recommended practices, contributing into the recommended practices, publishing a paper in a journal magazine, being a part-time instructor within the industry. This one I like. Presented papers at AACE conference and expos or other technical meetings. So say that you have something interesting you want to share with the community, you can contact your section and say, I have this very interesting topic about escalation, and I would like to give a webinar. Then you sit down with us and then we just help you to prepare the webinar. And then if you present this with us and then you go to Saudi Arabia or Peru or the US and you want to present the same paper another time, you don't get repeats, right? So you can only do it once. So you have to choose who you want to present, unless you're a very nice person and you want to talk to multiple people. AAC webinar presenter, same stuff. Author reference book, thesis or dissertations, contributing any kind of documents, and then finally the volunteer service. So this is basically something that my suggestion will be, after you finish your certification, start planning how to engage with the different activities to actually get your 12 CEUs, because I don't think that you will like to sit again and do the test all over again. So my suggestion will be plan for your 12 CEUs. It's not so complicated. I've been doing it myself, and most people do it like this. I don't know anyone that has gone through the test. And as I was saying, when you submit your application for your recertification, you may be selected for a random audit. I was very lucky and I got selected once. And what really happened is they requested me to go back to my employer and get letters that I give this test or I did that I was working on this. I have to show the evidence of the webinars that I attended. So I always keep record of all the webinars that I participate. I keep record of all the things that I have presented. So basically just being structured and organized and planning this. So, yep, and I think that I don't know anything that you would like to add, Adi, Helge, on the topic.
Well, I think it's the
Yeah,
full picture of it. I think in the end you get a nice certificate, but also you had a nice learning experience because you have like this program. You can dive into estimating topics. You can learn all about it. And before you build your own curriculum, I think it's a really good, nice path to do it in this way.
Yeah, like you said, I would like to also add here that if suppose somebody would like to contact me, reach me out for helping for this certification exam, they could. I would like to help them also for this personally, one-to-one as well.
I don't know what I did. I just kicked
Me
myself out.
neither. I thought
Yeah,
I
I
had
was
a frozen screen.
Sorry, I was
exactly.
just
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just so excited that this was going well. So, but I think that
Okay. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, I
So
was saying that if somebody wants to reach me out for helping for the CEP certification, I would be available. They can reach me out on the LinkedIn. Yeah.
cool. So yeah, you have our contacts in the presentation, and I
Yeah.
already gave the links for the study guides and whatever in the chat. I will also make a post in the LinkedIn page. And thanks everyone. So hope that you had something, that you took something from the webinar, and well, at least you got to meet Helge and Adi, who are just great and fantastic people, and I like working with them. So thank you everyone. Thanks Tom for the hand claps. That was
Thanks.
nice.
Thanks, Luis. Okay. Bye. Thanks all.
And the
Bye.
recording will be shared with everyone, I guess. I don't know how, but I'll make sure of that. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye
Okay.
bye.
See you. Have
Bye
fun.
bye.
Bye.